Sometimes code results in errors, whether the code is well written or not. Some functionality, such as reading from a file or communicating with other computers, can cause errors that are outside of the control of your code. For example, if our program relies on a different program to send information, and the program that our program is dependent on fails, it could cause an error in our program, regardless of how well our code is written. To handle these types of situations and make sure our programs don't crash because of something else, we can use try-catch blocks to handle any exceptions that might be thrown. An exception can be thought of as an error. It is an exception to what should be happening. We can catch exceptions and tell our program how to gracefully handle them rather than allowing our program to crash because it doesn't know what to do in this exceptional circumstance. To do this, we can wrap code that may result in an exception or error inside a try block. Then, following the try block, we have a catch block that defines what will happen if any exceptions occur or are thrown from the code inside the preceding try block. Here's an example. Let's say we say list dot push hello console.log goodbye. If we run this, we can see that goodbye never gets logged in the console because the error was thrown trying to push to an array that doesn't exist, right? So in our line of code right here, we haven't declared this array yet. We try to push hello to this array that doesn't exist. Because of that, an error is thrown, an exception is thrown, and we never run the line after it, meaning our program crashed and so it just stopped running, which is not what we want to happen. So what we can do to fix this is we can add try and catch blocks. So if we go ahead and move this down here, we're actually going to move this one right out of here. And let's try this. Now we can see we did get our error logged out because an error occurred, but we also got goodbye. In this situation, even though an exception is thrown, our program still logs goodbye. That is because the exception was handled and the program keeps running. In addition to the try and catch blocks, we can also add a finally block after any try or catch. The code inside this block will run whether an exception is thrown or not. Something important to take note of, try-catch blocks are not for surrounding codes such as the code in our example here, that only fails because of poor coding. We don't need to wrap all code in try-catch blocks to make sure there is no error. However, handling exceptions is for those exceptions that we don't have control of, or in short, using other people's libraries. So if exceptions are caused because of a networking exception, something that's outside of our application we don't have control of, that's the type of code we wrap in a try-catch block. We don't wrap code like accessing an array, like here, inside of a try-catch blocks to avoid index out of bounds exceptions or anything like that. That's something that can be handled by coding properly. We wrap code that we don't have control over whether it will throw an exception or not in a try-catch block.